Welcome to my state of mind here on WPRI.com. Commentary in lieu of new shows on My TV at 7:30 and Fox Province at midnight. Still on repeats. We'll get back to originally scheduled programming or original programming as soon as we possibly can. In the meantime, some notes from the weekend. A follow-up to an important cause that we were talking about here last week, and that is for the garden center business. Essential business label in Massachusetts, not so in Rhode Island, but after significant pressure, good work by the lieutenant governor in scheduling these small business conference calls. Go to the lieutenant governor's website and you can get the phone number to peek in and participate in these conference calls that have hundreds of businesses throughout the state and have had every major dignitary in the state on there, less the governor who ignores them. And don't get me started on the ridiculousness of that. But look, the pressure that was put on there and via the radio program on the Dan York Show on WPRO weekdays 3 till 6 and perhaps here, finally brought to bear a good decision. Better late than never, but I don't know why so late category here. So here's what's happening. The garden centers will be allowed to open on a limited basis with restrictions April 27th. If you look at the calendar, that's still 7 days away. Why is that? Why are they losing a weekend coming up again this weekend? Well, because the DEM has got to get some regulations together, which is ridiculous. Copy and paste what they do in Massachusetts and just get this thing done. But it's almost part of, it seems to me it's almost part of, well, it's really hard to do this, so we're going to wait another week to ramp it up and make sure everybody knows how to spell social distancing at the garden centers and make sure we can count how many people per greenhouse can actually pick up a hanging plant or whatever. It's crazy. It's really kind of, it was really complicated to do, so it's going to take us to April 27th to do it type of thing, as opposed to just saying, hey, you know what, we missed it. We should have had these things open the entire way. They are closing the browsing at the big box stores, which had an unusually unfair playing field where people could browse and actually the conflicts on social distancing were all present there with too many people in those places. Now that's only pickup or, online order. Anyway, a couple weeks' time, we will have resolved that for the garden centers, and hopefully they can make a spring comeback here and do good with their business. But just too much from the Raimondo administration trying to cover the track of what was just a swing and a miss, which is going to happen. It's not like this COVID-19 thing is a little thing to take care of. All right, progress there. In the meantime, the governor has established what she calls 6 foundational criteria here for opening up the economy, which she keeps hinting at she's going to do on May 8th. Do you mind if I peek and read this? There are 6 questions she wants to ask herself, and I'm going to answer each one of these best I can. So let's give it a run. Has the rate of spread continued to decrease? Well, not yet. Maybe by May 8th it will. It's our hope that social distancing will do that, right? Number 2, do we have the capacity to quickly identify community spread on an ongoing basis before a major outbreak occurs? Again, a question for herself and the Department of Health, but it seems to me that we should be able to do that by the number of people who get sick, end up in the hospital, or by better testing, which is the better choice. Of course, the governors across the country are trying to test well, and the president just seems to be ignoring the concept that we are still behind on testing. So, to be determined, right? Number 3, do we have necessary supports in place for vulnerable populations and for anyone in quarantine? I think Rhode Island's done a pretty good job. The governor and her team have done a pretty good job on this level. So hopefully, yes. Does our healthcare system have the capacity and the PPE to handle future surges? Seems like the capacity is there. We have the extended hospital beds at the Lowe's at Quonset, at the former Citizens Bank building in Cranston, and at the convention center. So it seems like we've got the capacity. We certainly don't have the PPE, and that maybe in a couple, 3 weeks will be a better situation. 5, do businesses, schools, childcare sites, faith organizations, and recreational spaces have plans for long-term social distancing? Well, again, it's the governor's team that will have to create those plans, right? I was looking at Mass again this Sunday online, thinking, what a joy it will be to sit in the pews with others, my family and others. But I don't know how close we're going to be able to get. It seems like that's going to have to be a regulation. As far as the schools are concerned, let me let you in on a dirty little secret. There ain't no school Foster Gloucester or anywhere else in Rhode Island this year. The social distance learning situation is going to be in place. No one has formally said it, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that this is not going to happen. I think the governor is probably hesitant to tell us that because she doesn't want to demoralize us, that she doesn't want to stick it in our rib cage this early, because it'll be a big blow for parents, teachers, kids alike. So that's going to be slow explained to us. But there ain't going to be no school. We'd be lucky to have it in the fall if we avoid a second wave. Cross your fingers for a remedy or a break from that. And finally, are we prepared to reimpose measures or reclose certain sectors of the economy if it becomes necessary? Well, it seems the answer to that is yes, as hard as it is, because we did it the first time, right? So those are the 6 questions that she's asking herself and the community, and hopefully the answers will come more and more apparent by this kind of quasi-deadline for something better to happen here, May 8th. In the meantime, on a national level, this was interesting. The Wall Street Journal ran a poll, and amongst the questions they calculated and researched was the trust factor for certain players in this whole situation. Guess what? Donald Trump's trust factor, 36%. Governor's trust factor in the mid-60s. Dr. Fauci, about 65%, I think. So Trump's trust factor is down to the bare base. And if this thing wasn't so doggone serious, I could be facetious. But pardon me if I am anyway. Congratulations, Mr. President. You've earned it. Have a great night.